All right. Well, hey, friends, we've given people a few minutes and we are recording this. Oh, let me make sure that we have, got a couple people. I have to admit, I'm going to admit everybody. There we go. Got a couple more folks joining in. All right. Good. We got Kathleen. There we go. Kathleen is here. Kathleen Miller. Kathleen, if you want to drop in where you're coming from, what part of the world, you could drop that in the chat. And Alex and Connie Johnson, looks like you guys are connected to audio. There you go, Alex and Connie. If you guys want, you can drop in where you're at in the world so we can see that. And by the way, we want to say Hag Sameach, which means happy holidays. Why? What's today?
Oh, sundown tonight is Sukkot, Feast of Tabernacles.
That's right. So Feast of Tabernacles or Feast of Booths, also known as Sukkot. So tonight starts a week long in Israel. Right now, they are celebrating and they're setting up these temporary booths or shelters. It reminds them of the time in the wilderness for 40 years that God sustained and protected them during that time. And so today we do that. We remember, we create our own temporary dwellings, and we look forward to a more permanent one with God. So, okay, we have Fountain Hills, Arizona, and Surprise, Arizona. Is that near Peoria?
That
area?
is, yeah.
Okay.
Surprise is near Peoria. I don't know where Fountain Hills is.
Yeah. Do we meet you guys at Copper Hills, maybe? Yeah. All right. Well, hey, can you just give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen being shared? Is everything working there? All right, good. Love that. What we're going to do is we're going to walk through for the next 3 hours. We're going to walk through. I'm just kidding. Not 3 hours.
Maybe 2.5.
No, we're going to do this quickly. But what we're going to do is just walk you through itinerary. And we want to do this pretty quickly, but show you where we're going, what the plan is as of right now, and then give you a chance to ask questions. And as you see things, you can just drop questions in the chat and we'll jump on those as well. But give you a chance to ask all the questions and give you everything that you're looking for. So we are here to walk in the footsteps of Jesus on the Jewish road as we travel the land of Israel. We're real excited to be able to do this, and everything's still kind of coming together, but we are working through what some of that looks like. So, here we go. Let me back up. Here we go. Oh, wow. We went all the way through all of those. Let me just, here we go. We're going to start right up here and present. No, it doesn't want to do that. Well, great. First technical problem. We're just going to go backwards all the way through. There we go. There we go. Can we see it now? Are we still good? Yes. Lovely. All right, good. What I want you to do in the chat is write down the spot that you're most looking forward to seeing. The place in Israel. Maybe you've already been there, you want to go back, but put the place that you think, man, this is the spot that I really, really want to go. Is there a place that you want to go back to?
Yeah. Oh God, I want to go to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really like it up in the Galilee region up north. And I like being in Jerusalem. It's just fantastic. There's so much that took place there historically and theologically, and it's just a great place to be.
Yeah. This picture right up here, this is my favorite spot. It's on the Sea of Galilee. And I remember one of my first times going there, getting to sit on the shore early in the morning, opening up my Bible, and it says that Jesus got into a boat and he went from this place across the sea to this place. And that moment of getting to like look up and you actually get to see that spot to that spot. And this is the classroom of Jesus where it all came together. But Marilee says always Jerusalem. Ali, I'm with you. Galilee, Sea of Galilee. So we do spend a lot of time there. In fact, that's probably the spot where we're going to spend the most time. It'll be our headquarters there. And I'll show you some pictures of the place that we're going to be staying.
Oh, yeah. Love the kibbutz we're staying in.
Yeah, it'd be great. So here is why we want to go to Israel. A lot of us, we read the Bible, and the Bible's full of people we know and places that we don't. So what we really want to make sure, we go through, we know the characters, we know the King Davids and Goliaths, we know the Noahs, but
Elijah.
Yeah, but we go through and we kind of just skip through some of these places. We know some of the big bullet points, but I remember one of my favorite spots that was actually like surprising. There's a place called Hatzor, or around here in Kentucky we call it Hazor, but Hazor, and it's one of the cities that Joshua burns down, and it's one of the fortified cities of Solomon. But Joshua burns this city down, Hatzor, and I remember going there. It's largely unexcavated today, and I remember them pulling back some of the dirt, and you can see some of these old stones, and these old stones still have the fire. They're burned, they're charred.
Right.
And I just remember like these places, like you just read through it and you pass over Hatzor, a place like Hatzor, and you just kind of keep moving on.
Yeah, but there's a whole history behind it.
Yeah, and the geography matters, the land matters, these places matter. And so what we want to do is we want to be able to bring these places to life, because then you are able to really remember and recognize everything that's going on. So here we go. Here's a couple of passages. Why don't you take this one?
Yeah, it's Ezekiel chapter 20, verses 5 and 6. Thus says the Lord God, on the day when I chose Israel and swore to the descendants of the house of Jacob and made myself known to them in the land of Egypt, when I swore to them, saying, I am the Lord your God, on that day I swore to them to bring them out from the land of Egypt into a land that I had selected for them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of all lands.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, they're in Egypt, and they have a promise from God. He made a promise, and he said he is going to bring them out from that place and is going to bring them into a land that he promised them, the promised land. And God keeps his word.
Yeah.
He's going back and recounting that from Ezekiel's time.
And he says, and he's saying this, like, so this is Deuteronomy, right? So you have the Israelites, they're coming out, all this generation that's coming out of Egypt, all they've really ever known is Egypt. But God has given them a promise, and he says, the land into which you're entering, this is Deuteronomy 11, entering to possess it is not like the land of Egypt from which you came, where you used to sow your seed and water it with your foot like a vegetable garden. I've been to Egypt a few times, and one of the things that you see, you have the Nile, but coming off of the Nile, you have all these tributaries, these small streams, and you would be digging these tributaries to bring water to your land. And God is saying, this land is different. This is not like the land that you're used to in Egypt. And so you don't have to go by foot, but the land in which you are about to cross to possess it, a land of hills and valleys, drinks water from the rain of heaven, a land for which the Lord your God cares. The eyes of the Lord your God are always on it, from the beginning even to the end of the year. So God is making a promise. This land is special. It always has been, always will be, that God has set up a covenant with his people, and he's bringing them to a place that's better. And this place is still, it has so much history and significance for the people today.
Yeah. And here in Deuteronomy, Moses is telling them of where they're going, but in Ezekiel, he's reminding them of the promise that was.
That's right. So what we're going to do is we're going to be traveling through. This is kind of old school map, but I like it. And we're going to be going from Dan. Dan is up here in the north, all the way down to Beersheba. And this span right here is 140 miles. And then if you go from all the way from this area of Beersheba down to Eilat, which is at the southern border, that is 150 miles. So you're looking, basically, you can drive north and south the distance of Israel in about 6 hours. And there are some places in Israel going east to west, it's only 10 miles across.
Yeah. Well, because of that disputed area.
Yeah,
right?
There's some disputed area we have, and we'll talk through things like we got the Gaza Strip, which is over here. We have a lot of the West Bank in here, and we have the Jordan River, and really on the other side of the Jordan is the country of Jordan. We have Lebanon, we have Syria. So we'll walk you through what some of that looks like. But this is not very big. This is the size of Lake Erie. This is the size of, well, it's less than New Jersey. And there are ranches in Texas that are bigger than the nation of Israel.
Yeah, the state of it, yeah.
Kind of amazing.
Small place. And yet it is just infinitesimal in terms of what the whole land was that was promised originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, so let's keep going. Over the course of a trip, and it's fun because I see a couple people that we've gone on trips before. There is something that unites us on a trip like this, and we have a Hebrew word. It's called mishpacha, not mishpacha or mishpacha, but this is mishpacha. It's a family, that we become family over the course of a trip like this. It really unites and bonds, and sometimes that's through sickness, and sometimes that's through struggle and hiking up crazy things like Masada, but we get to do it together. And I believe that when God is in the midst of a group like this, that we get to really enjoy time together, but you form these bonds and memories with people for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's great. Hiking up Masada, that is going to be a goal. I want to do it this year. And
hopefully I'm not going to have you on my back.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah. If you don't want to hike it, it's a pretty rigorous hike, but there's a tram that'll take you up too.
There you go. All right. So what we want to do is just basically give you a little bit. The purpose of this is to just establish today, what does the trip look like? And what do you need to do to prepare? And there's basically 4 categories. Number 1 is to start preparing physically. You do not have to be a world-class athlete like myself. I can't hear people laughing right now. I need that laughter. That's all right. You don't have to be a world-class athlete, but we do want you to be in good shape for yourself. We will be walking about 3 to 5 miles a day, but there will always be options where you can take the tram instead of hiking up the arduous trail. There's places where you can take the bus, and the bus will meet the rest of the group. So it's always challenged by choice. So I tell people, would you rather stay home in your house in Orange County or Idaho or whatever that is, or if you're just having an off day and your knee was hurting or something, would you rather just sit by the Sea of Galilee and take a day off and enjoy that and read the word? That's great. So to start preparing physically. Yeah. The other one is to start preparing tactically. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, the things that you need to pull together to supply that you're going to take, you'll be given a backpack as part of this trip. But just the normal things that you would pack and take with you on a trip for, a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So it will be all of the stuff, and we'll engage and help you with all of that. But if you don't have a passport, get a passport. If you have a passport and the passport is going to expire within 6 months of our trip date. So if we're going October 2023, make sure that your passport is good till at least April 2024. But I would say, because we're already planning another trip, April of 2024, because you're going to want to go back right away, to make sure that it extends out there for a long, long time. But get all of that stuff together and start preparing. And that'll be part of our task, is to be able to prepare you tactically. What do you pack? And in all of this, we also, we have a partner here. It's GTI Travel, GTI Tours. They've been doing tours for 30, 40 years. They're doing 80 tours this week. That'd be a lot. 80 tours this year. In fact, we're actually just on their podcast. So you can check out GTI Tours podcast. And we were walking through the High Holy Days with them, but been doing tours with them I've done 25 tours to Israel, and I'd say half of them have been with GTI, and they've been awesome. Other preparation is spiritual. This is a good time to start really digging in, reading the Bible, but paying attention not just to the people, but the places. Start circling those places. Start looking at some maps of the Bible and paying attention to what is going on there. Get the narrative down. What's happening in Jerusalem when it says that Jesus is going from Galilee to Jerusalem? Most of your Bibles, they have map section in the back there. And so go through there and start paying attention to what is the geography. And not only that, but there will be a pre-tour curriculum that we'll go through, and that will be done through GTI. Actually can be taken for some college credit, but it'll be an opportunity to walk through. So we hit the ground running. We'll have a good sense of the layout and the land. Anything else spiritually that you say?
Well, I would say just pray and ask God to just open up the you know, the land and the people and his promises and the covenants, and just to understand everything concerning what happened in Israel and then what happened when the Messiah, Jesus, came, and how all of that just impacts, and you can see it right there in the land as we're traveling through it.
Yep. And then the last way to start preparing is financially. We realized that this costs a bunch of money. And it's a huge investment, but I also think it's an investment, right? This is not just a vacation. This is growing spiritually. I had the chance a few years back to take a family of 19 and grandma, 83-year-old grandmother, who was a widow, invested $100,000 to take everybody in her family. She has no regrets. In fact, she really wants to go to Egypt and Turkey next. And so we've begun some conversations along those lines. But I will never forget the moment where I'm baptizing every single person in her family in the Jordan River, and she's standing on the side of the shore, bawling her eyes out, and I'm bawling my eyes out, and everybody's crying. So it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. But this is an investment spiritually, but it also takes finances to get there. And unfortunately, it costs even more today than it did, a while back, even a couple of years ago, just with gas prices and planes and all that stuff. And not trying to be evasive at all, but we're still waiting on what the airlines are going to be. And that's the big thing I'll tell you, is that we will know everything next month. Airlines book 11 months out, and we're 12 months out. So those are some ways to prepare. And obviously, as you have questions, we can walk through what those questions look like. But let's walk through the itinerary real quick. We chose today because this is awesome. We are leaving, and we're basically hoping that we're going to be able to hit everybody in two different places, LAX and Chicago. And so if you are in a different spot, you might need to figure out what's the easiest airport for you to get to, and we have to divide that out. It's a little bit tricky on the travel piece, but we've decided those are the two probably most central for the groups of people that we know who are involved. And so as of right now, it looks like we're leaving Sunday, October 8th, out of LAX at 6:25, out of Chicago at 9:40, and then we fly. But we arrive on Monday, October 9th. What's today? October 9th.
October 9th. 1 year from today, right now.
That's why we were actually going to do this last week, but we said, let's do it on the day of. So today is 1 year. So this is like, I can't wait. 1 year from right now, we're going to be going there. So we show up, and it's 8:35 is when we land. We get all of our luggage, and then we schlep. Schlep is this Yiddish word for
for dragging everything around. If you're Jewish, you have schleprosy.
Schleprosy, right? You're always carrying a bunch of stuff
There's
around.
no cure for it.
So we're going to land up here in the Tel Aviv area. So it's just outside of Jaffa. We actually fly right over here, over Jaffa, and then Tel Aviv is about 20 miles or so inland. And so that's where we land. And then we're going to head down, and we're going to go into the foothills just southwest of Jerusalem proper. So we'll be in the hills. This is what it looks like when you get there. Not too shabby. It'll be lovely. And this time of year is fantastic. I'll show you a little bit later, but from a weather perspective, Israel is about the same latitude as California. So the weather that you're experiencing in California is right now is about what you would experience. So we got from the 60s to about 85, depending on what part of the country we're in. We have mountains, we have oceans, we have deserts. So it all changes around. We wake up, unfortunately, early in the morning the next day, but we're going to go through. And here's my favorite part. Here are probably 4 words that you've never heard of. 4 places, right? Like, I want to go to Jerusalem. I want to go to Galilee. Nobody is going, I want to go to Yad HaShmona. Nobody says that ever, like never shows up, right? But you go to some of these places and you're like, I can't wait to go back. You may have heard of places like Bet Shemesh. This is where the Ark of the Covenant comes through. The Elah Valley. Anyone know what the Elah Valley is? This is David and Goliath. You got it, Marilee. David and Goliath. So we'll actually be there. We'll be up on the hill. We'll get to see. This is where the Philistines were.
Yeah.
And this is where
David and the Israeli encampment is. And yeah, you can see, you can pick up stones.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we'll go through an area known as Beit Guvrin. So this is one of those days where it's like, I don't know where any of these places are, or never heard of them before, but we'll walk you through them, show you biblically where everything's going. And then that night, we're going to be staying at the Dead Sea. Not too shabby. So that'll be nice. We actually go for a little float. What was it like the first time you were in the Dead Sea?
It's impossible to sink.
You can't sink, nor do you want to, because it's so salty that it will burn. We tell you don't shave the day before because everything stings. But you can see, so all of the hotels are going to be 4-star hotels, and they're lovely. Everything's clean, everything's safe, and the food is fantastic. I'll show you a little example of that a little bit later. Wednesday, we wake up and we go to Masada. So we're going to be down here on the southern part of the Dead Sea. That's where our hotel is at. And we'll make our way up north. And we got Masada. We'll go ride on a camel. We'll go see Tel Arad. When we say Tel is a hill. What does a tell us will be one of the things that we'll tell you about. But Tel Arad is a biblical site. There's a battle there that takes place that's significant. And we'll come back in here and we'll float for the Dead Sea. Our goal is to move around as far as hotels go, as few times as possible. So the Dead Sea will be one of our anchor points. Up north, the Sea of Galilee will be one of our anchor points. And then Jerusalem will be one of our anchor points. So we'll spend some time there. And then here's what some of those places look like. This is
Masada. This is the top of Masada. This is where the Jewish people held out after the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. They held out to what, 73, I believe.
Yeah. Rome tried to build. It was actually a conquest that they lasted for 9 months. You can see kind of here on the left side of the screen is the snake path. So many of us will go up that. I'll tell you the story of the day that I went up that twice, going to look for somebody. And we do a lot to make sure that we don't have to do that again. But this is a Herodian palace. And so Herod built this. You'll see a lot of the places in Israel were built by Herod. And you'll see even just a little bit of the siege ramp. And we'll talk about why this place is so significant. Last time I was there, actually maybe 2 times ago, I was right up here in the synagogue. This is the synagogue in Masada. And as I'm speaking to our group, this guy right here, I don't know if you recognize, if you're a football fan, this is Robert Kraft from New England Patriots. He walks in with some players, some Patriots from his football team. And all of a sudden, like, you feel like I've got to be on. We have a captive audience. These guys are listening. And then I realized, like, these guys are walking, that we kind of follow each other. I got to talk to him and some other players. We're walking and they're following us. And we're all going now into the same SkyTram. So down here below, this is the snake path going through. This is the SkyTram. And all of these big, strong, heavy football players are getting in the SkyTram with us. And I'm like, I think I might just take the snake path.
Yeah, be safer.
Yeah, be safer, because I didn't know if those guys were going to take us down. Then we go through En-Gedi, Qumran, and Lower Jordan. So we'll go back to the hotel. Then we get back up. We're going to go to En-Gedi and Qumran, and then we'll be in this region of the Lower Jordan. So the Jordan starts way up here and goes all the way down, but we'll be in this area. But tell us a little bit. Here is En-Gedi. What's going on here in this spot?
Oh, this is a great spot where the falls are. This is where David encamped, right?
Yeah.
And was hiding.
Yeah.
From he was hiding from Saul.
Yeah, he's hiding from Saul.
And just a lot of history took place in that area right there. We can even go in the En-Gedi. We went in last time. We just stood there under the falls.
Yeah, it's great. So you have the contrast of the heat and the barrenness of the desert, and then we have these beautiful falls. This is a place, this was David called this his fortress. He wrote some of the Psalms here. This is the place where he talks about God being his rock and his fortress. You look at there's some passages that we see in Psalm 42, Psalm 62. So super powerful, but we also get some time to go explore and go hiking. And so some of you are going to run all over there, and some of you are just going to sit out by a rock and sunbathe. It's beautiful. And then we go up to Qumran. What's going on here?
Oh, Qumran. This is where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. Yeah. It was found by a little shepherd boy who was throwing rocks one day. And one of the rocks he threw up there, he heard a pot break. And they didn't know what it was. And they went up and they discovered these scrolls. We have almost a full Isaiah scroll from in this area.
Well, right here, actually, this is cave number 4.
Mhm.
And in this cave, and you'll be able to see it. We won't go in the cave, but we'll see it basically from this view. But the scroll of Isaiah was found, and they're still actually finding more all around this area.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about the Essenes. John the Baptist has a little bit of a story here in this area. I do see. Do we get massages at the Dead Sea? I think that can be arranged, Marilee. I think we can do that. In fact, the Dead Sea is the place where the Israelis go to get their vacations, and everybody goes there. It's fantastic. All right, and then
Ah,
we get up to the Sea of Galilee, and this is a place. This is a kibbutz. This is a village where the kibbutzim were established when Israel became a nation in 1948. And so this is one of the places that we will be staying. It's on the eastern shore of the Sea of Galilee. And we have these little beach bungalows. There's hammocks all over the place.
yeah.
So you get these beautiful walkways, and then you'll get one of these little condos. You can sit outside. So we get up early and we read, and we stay up late, have a little glass of Israeli wine, and we talk. And then you get to see right out here,
Yeah.
the view is what?
That's Tiberias,
Yeah.
right across the Sea of Galilee.
So
Right.
Tiberias is there. So you get a view, though, from this spot. You can see the entire Sea of Galilee, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's my favorite. It's very calm. There's no city life, and everybody says, we just get to relax here.
Is this still a working kibbutz?
It is still a
It
working
is.
kibbutz. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kibbutz En Gev, and we'll be going through that area. And really, so we're up here. We've made our way. We're kind of following the Jordan River up, and we're actually gonna be staying right here on the eastern shore. That's where the kibbutz En Gev is. And then really, this whole day right here, we're going to be going and seeing what we call the Galilee Triangle. And we're really, most of Jesus's ministry is taking place up here in this northern part of the Sea of Galilee. So we're going to go to Mount Arbel. I'll show you a couple pictures there. Chorazin, one of the cursed cities, 3 cities that Jesus cursed. Tabga, which is the place of multiplication. Jesus turns a meal of some fish and some bread loaves into a feast for thousands. We go to Capernaum or Capernaum. We go on a little boat ride, and we'll actually see an ancient boat. So this is what some of that looks like. This is Mount Arbel. And believe it or not, some of you are actually going to climb up this
Yeah,
mountain.
we climbed up that last time.
Ali, did you climb up that before? Yeah, you did. It's pretty amazing, pretty beautiful. And when you look at it, you say, I'm going to climb up that. And it's not as bad as you think. And I'm kind of a chicken when it comes to that. But the payoff is you get to come up here and you get to see. So really, all of this is that North Shore of Galilee, right?
Yeah. Beautiful. And yeah, where's the kibbutz?
Well, kibbutz would be way like over
Yeah,
here on this
yeah.
side. We have Capernaum is over here.
Yeah.
Down here is the little area known as Migdal, where Mary of Migdal or Mary Magdalene was from. So we'll be traversing all this, and they say that anything can grow in this region right here. So we'll go here, and this place is significant for many reasons, and we'll get to walk you through that. But this is a little bit of what that path looks like, and it's amazing right here. This is called the Valley of the Doves, and if you just kept going this way, you'd hit Nazareth, 16 miles away. But Jesus would come from Nazareth. He would cut right through this area and then go straight into Capernaum. So pretty amazing, beautiful spot. And there's Capernaum. This is the synagogue at Capernaum. You'll see a couple of different layers. We have the basalt layer and we have the limestone layer, and we'll give you some significant pieces there. And then we jump on a boat, and we get to tell some stories of things that happened on this beautiful sea. And then you can see just what it's like. These are the sloping hills, and this is, again, the North Shore of Galilee. I'm going to keep going because I want to make sure that we have enough time to hear some of your questions. We're going to go see the Decapolis cities. So there's 10 cities known as the Decapolis, but we're going to go to Beit Shean, Gan HaShlosha, and Susita. And again, probably a couple of places that you've never heard of before, but this is Beit Shean. This is also known as Scythopolis.
Scythopolis, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is coming from the backside over the mountain, right? And looking at that, and this is an old Roman city that right in the middle of Israel.
Yeah. So we'll talk about this. What do a bunch of people from a small fishing town along the Galilee, what are they going to do now that Rome is establishing these massive cities? And how do we live in the world and not be part of the world? And so we'll work through some of that, but we'll walk these ancient streets. These are ancient columns. This is the main thoroughfare that went right through the street. And then we'll go to this beautiful place. This is right near the area where Gideon gets his army and says, I want you to bend down and get some water, and we're going to see if you lap it up like dogs or if you bring it up to your mouth. And he's whittling down his army. But this is actually a warm spring. It's a great spot to jump in and just enjoy. So we'll relax a little bit at this spot. And then we have Susita, also known as Hippos. And this is a place, Mark chapter 5, where Jesus heals a demoniac. So we'll tell some of the story. This is where the swine are cast into the sea.
Yeah, they made a swine dive.
A swine dive. Sorry. I don't blame you if you guys just cut out right now.
I see them all laughing. What are you talking
They're not
about?
laughing. They're just nodding their heads in disappointment. They can't believe it. All right, here we go. Northern Galilee, we're going to go to Katzrin, Mount Bental, Caesarea Philippi, and Tel Dan. So we're going to be leaving the Sea of Galilee and we're going to make our way up north. So Katzrin is up here. Mount Bental, we're going to be looking up here in this area, Caesarea Philippi and Tel Dan. So here's a couple of photos. This is an ancient 4th century Talmudic village. We'll talk about, this is going to be very experiential. We're going to do some cooking and eating, lots of eating. We love eating. But we're going to be telling some biblical stories, but gives you a good sense of what was life like for these Jewish communities 2,000 years ago. This is from a Syrian bunker from 1967 that is now Israel's territory, Israel's land.
This is part of the Golan Heights.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're far up north.
Yeah.
In fact, right up here, you can see this is Mount Hermon. This is the one place that it snows in Israel, so you can actually go skiing. And if you actually look and you go out this way, about 50 miles, you will be able to hit Damascus. And we'll look at Acts chapter 9. We'll look at Paul and what he's doing. But really, the division line between us and Syria actually kind of cuts right along this area. So you'll be like, it's less than 2 kilometers right here. And so I've been there when we could hear bombs going off in Syria. And we'll talk about what does it mean to pray for our enemies? What does it look like for us to, we'll look at this conflict that is raging on, and what is Israel doing? We have a friend up here who is crossing the border with Israeli soldiers and medics, going after folks that who are Syrians who have been injured and bringing them into Israeli hospitals. And what does that look like? And how is Israel actually doing some of these operations? Fantastic ministry. This is Caesarea Philippi. There are 2 Caesareas. There's Caesarea Philippi up in the north, and there's Caesarea
Maritima along the Mediterranean.
Yeah, so we'll go hit both of these, but this is the place in Matthew 16 where Jesus says, "Who do you say that I am?" And he has a conversation with his disciples in this place. And then this is also the place where the Jordan River starts. So we'll get to see where that Jordan starts from, and I'll tell you why it's called that, and we'll walk through all of that. We're going to make our way down to the coastal plains. So here's where Megiddo is. So we're leaving now. We're leaving the Sea of Galilee. We say goodbye. It's a little bit sad. And now we head over here. This is the Jezreel Valley. And we have Megiddo, which is a spot that has a lot of historical significance and
a lot of prophetic significance as well. This is where you'll be able to look when we go up on the Tel, which is what, about 26
it's 26 layers.
So
civilization 26
right.
times.
So when you're at the top of that and you're looking over the Jezreel Valley, you know, from the scripture, the book of Revelation, this is where the armies of the Antichrist are going to gather as they contemplate attacking Jerusalem. And you'll be able to look over all of that and you see, wow, it's going to be a lot of armies in there.
Yeah. And so from there, you're looking over this Jezreel Valley, also known as the Valley of Armageddon. But really, we'll make our way up here to Mount Carmel, up to the top. And this is really the highest point in all of this area. And when you understand, this is probably one of the more significant moments, but when you understand that this showdown with Elijah and these prophets, these false prophets of Israel, Baal, when they have the showdown, that the geography, and not only the geography, but the topography of what's going on here, that this spot is a stage. And this is why Elijah says so specifically, he says, let it be known today that you are God. And we'll talk about what is it like that if this is the stage, and then maybe this is the orchestra pit, and we have the seats, and we have these foothills, we have Mount Tabor and Mount Gilboa, and Nazareth is around here, but everybody, this would be the stage where everybody and all the people around would be able to see that God is the God of Israel, and he's the God of everyone. So there's a lot going on in this one space. And then we go to Caesarea Maritima, which is Caesarea by the sea. So we have the Caesarea Philippi, named after Philip. We'll talk about that and Herod and the whole dynasty. But we'll also look at Caesarea Maritima, and Paul was imprisoned here. We see Herod. Herod dies here in this area. Here's some pictures. This is Megiddo, and you can see the Valley of Armageddon behind. This is Mount Carmel. We'll see this from all kinds of different areas. And this is Caesarea by the sea. You can still go there on the beaches and collect Roman glass. You'll still find some of that. The Hippodrome, this is where the games were. And then Roman aqueduct. So very ancient, you get to see. But then we go that night and we land at our hotel in Jerusalem called the Grand Court. Did you stay there before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great place.
Great place.
Great food.
The food.
Whoa.
So the food just goes on forever. And the reason you're okay with it is we do a lot of walking. So, you come back and you eat.
Well, it's so good. I mean, look at that. It's all like Mediterranean, and you can eat as much as you want.
Yeah. So there's lots of what we call salads. So these salads are all over the place. And then there's meats, and so it's just everything is a buffet, and everybody eats well. I know people that have who've come with us with major food allergies, and they went to Israel and didn't have any issues whatsoever. And in fact, we're contemplating moving to Israel so that they might actually live a better, healthier life. Kind of interesting. We're going to be wrapping up here. Now we're in Jerusalem, and we ascend. When you go to Jerusalem, so we've gone from Caesarea, and then we head down, and really it's like about an hour drive, if that. We end up in Jerusalem, but you ascend up. Jerusalem's about 2,500 feet in elevation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and whenever you go to Jerusalem, from wherever you come, you're always going up. That's why they say you make aliyah, go up.
Yeah, to make an ascent. So we'll be seeing stuff like the Temple Mount. So all of this is in the Old City. Temple Mount, the Western Wall, the Rabbis' Tunnels. And then we go down to Bethlehem, which is about 7 miles south of Jerusalem. And we'll go see Herodium, Bethlehem, and the Church of the Nativity. So here's some of those pictures, and you'll see this from all over the place. Obviously, this is the Dome of the Rock, which is what everybody associates, but this is that Eastern Wall with the Eastern Gate. This is from the perspective of the Mount of Olives. This is up there on the dome, and we'll talk about why this is the dome and how old this thing is, but where actually was the temple in relation to this Temple Mount area. And then this is the Wailing Wall, or the Western Wall, or also known in Hebrew as the Kotel. And why do people come here? Why do they come to this place? And they are praying, but there's something significant that's happening here. This is Herodium. Inside, so you take this, and this is Herod's palace. He spent about 85% of his time in this spot. And if you actually go all the way up to the top, you take this road. We actually just walk up this road right here. And you get in, and this is what's inside, and there's baths. And when you realize that he has these massive pools, but he's in the middle of the desert, it's amazing the architecture that takes place.
Yeah, and how do you get the water up there?
How did he get the water? How did he get the land? In fact, there's a spot when he's standing on Bethany, and he says, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, move from here to there. Well, you'll actually see This is one of those mountains. If you actually look just a little bit to the left, there was another place that was a mountain. And he said, I want to move all of the dirt from this mountain over to this mountain. And so everybody knew when Jesus was saying, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you could do it with a mustard seed size faith, or if you were Herod and you just had lots of slave labor, then you could do it that way as well. But that's inside Herodian, and we'll see Bethlehem. We'll go see my good friend Johnny, who has a souvenir shop. We'll have a good meal there, and we'll go connect with this part of the land. And then we're going to be running around Jerusalem. So we're going to go to the city of David. We're going to walk through Hezekiah's tunnel, ancient tunnel. It's unbelievable. We'll go underneath the city. 35-minute hike in the water underneath the city. It's crazy. Southern Steps, the Israel Museum, the Model of Jerusalem, Shrine of the Book, and Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust Memorial. So all of that is right here. This is a very compacted area. Here's some of the pictures. I'm friends with the guy who runs the city of David, so we'll get some fun stuff that happens there. Here's the Southern Steps. And here's Yad Vashem, and we'll walk through this Holocaust memorial that is telling the story of Israel's death and their resurrection back to life, and God's love story that he has with them. And then we're wrapping up the last day on the Mount of Olives. You want to take us through some of these things?
Oh gosh, yeah, Mount of Olives, tremendous location. There was so much history and so much theology. This is where Jesus actually sits down with his disciples, and he gives the longest answer to a question that they ever had, and tells them all of what is going to be unfolding and happening from that time to the end of the age, which for us hasn't even really happened yet. So it's still prophetic.
So we'll go through there. We'll go through Gethsemane, St. Anne's, which you don't even know about, but it's going to be phenomenal. The pools of Bethesda, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and a farewell dinner. So here's some of those pictures. This is from the Mount of Olives, amongst these olive trees. And these olive trees, these ones in particular, are 2,000 years old. So I love walking through here thinking, man, these trees saw Jesus. These trees saw the disciples, the Roman soldiers. They bear witness to a time in history that was much, much different. This is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. This is academically what most of them would say is the burial place of Jesus, and where he was crucified and buried. Last time we were there, we got to meet this guy right here. Maybe you've seen Chris Tomlin. So for whatever reason, whenever we go, we just meet all of these fun Christian folks and celebrities. And so that, if you come with us, they'll probably happen again, I'm sure. And so we look at this city from every angle possible. We walking through the old city, and then we leave on Friday in the morning. We go through, we fly Turkish Airlines. So we'll go to Istanbul, and then we get back respectively to LAX, Chicago, and then home beyond that. So that's it. That's the big overview. That is the walkthrough here. Some fun things. Obviously, my dad and I will be there. Kay and Marilee will also be coming, and I'm not sure if you see this guy. It's under the name Kay Davis, but it's Jed. And Jed had his bar mitzvah in California almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit. But we say in our family that in order to go to Israel, you have to suffer through a year of Hebrew, and then you have to have your bar mitzvah, and then we'll take you to Israel. So Noah got to do that a few years back, and it was phenomenal. It's been a goal that we've had for our kids. But Jed gets to come, which means that, and we're hoping that Robert gets to come, because between the two of them, Robert is a world-class photographer, and Jed is our world-class videographer. And hey, if Todd comes, man, we're going to have a whole movie set. This is going to be fantastic. So that is our overview. That's the big picture. Let me just give you quick next steps, and then I want to get any questions. Oh, then we have somebody jump back in. What happens next? We're working with GTI. So all of the hotels, land reservations, our tour guide in Israel is booked. And just so you know how the tour guides work, these are Israelis. They are Jews. But they don't have a faith in Jesus or Yeshua as their Messiah. And we actually like it better that way. They give us the historical and geographical, and we give you the biblical and the spiritual. And these guys have gone through an amazing amount of school, and unfortunately, they run circles around most of the people biblically that we come through. So they're super knowledgeable and they're amazing. So all of those details have been booked and are set on the land. And then just airlines is what we're waiting for to be booked now. So you can come with us and go through all of the travel agency and all of that. And then we also realize that some people, they have, you have miles. And so we can actually split out the land from the air. And so you can pay just for the land, and we coordinate and make sure that we meet you in the right spot. So once that happens and we have our final price and we have all of the airlines booked, then we will email you and say registration is now open. You'll go back to thejewishroad.com/Israel. And instead of sign up for this link for this meeting, it'll be now you can sign up and register. There'll be a down payment. We'll know what all of that looks like. My estimate is that it's going to be somewhere between $5,000 and $5,500. So it's a bunch, we realize. So that's why we want to give everybody as much time as possible. And I say you're either going to get to the land of Israel while it's still there, or you'll see it when it's the New Jerusalem, one way or another. But then you can kind of have like this before and after. I remember back in the day when, right?
Yeah.
So that's our next steps. And what we'll do once you do sign up, we'll spend a few times. We want to meet 3 or 4 times over this next year to be able to prepare, to be able to get to know each other a little bit more. If we were all local, then we would get together and do this in person. If anyone wants to come out to Kentucky, you're welcome to come and hang out at his house, not my house.
I knew that was coming.
But that's pretty much everything we wanted to say. So feel free, either you could put questions now in the chat, or feel free to unmute and we can have a little bit of a conversation. Anything that comes up, what's showing up for anybody. I do know that there's a couple of people on this call who might be representing groups. So there might be 25 to 30 people or spots spoken for unofficially. So we are not trying to take a large, this is not going to be 100 people. We'd like a bus full, and that's about it. So that's what we're looking for, and it'll be first come, first serve. But if there's a group that wants to come and hold some spots, then we're working with that. I keep saying I want to hear from you, and I'm going to stop talking, and now I'm really going to do it. Questions?
Is it, Matt, only the 2 different airlines or airports that you have to fly out of?
Yeah, when you're doing group reservations, you have to be able to basically commit to a block of flights. So
Okay.
what I would say, coming from Seattle, that you would take Seattle. I'd probably go to Chicago and just make sure that you meet us in Chicago, and then we'll go together from there. Does that help?
I think it's actually cheaper to fly to
LAX.
LA probably
Yeah.
from you, but anyway, that answers my question.
Yep, that's how it works.
Okay.
Other questions?
Will the price be all inclusive, Matt?
Yeah.
One price for everything, or is there going to be gratuities along the way?
Yeah. So I hate the whole nickel and dime thing. So everything is included. So every meal is included, all of the transportation, and then all of the gratuities for like the hotel staff, for the bus drivers, for the tour guide. The only thing that we will say at the end of the trip, if you loved our tour guide and you want to give something above and beyond, that we can collect that for them, and I'll just add that to the final tip total. But all of that will get added in there. So really the only money that needs to be brought will be for souvenirs. We'll do breakfast and dinner at the hotel, and those will all be buffet. And then lunches will be on the road. We'll stop at some restaurants. We might do a couple of picnic lunches, but that's generally how we do it. But all of those meals. And then every once in a while, we'll like go get some ice cream or make some stops in some places. We'll go to a pita factory and eat some fresh pita and hummus, fun stuff like that.
There be any free time that we could have a few hours just to go wherever we want to go?
No. Here's kind of a normal day in the life. One of these days I would love to do that. But in order, so some trips, this is a longer trip. Some trips, they go for 7 days, and I say that they fly where Jesus walked. And even here, I've been to about 130 cities in Israel, and we will only hit about 40 of those. So it's a very painstaking part for me to be in the bus and to be driving by all of these places I really want to take everybody. I used to go on 21-day tours to Israel. But I just see this as an opportunity. Most everybody, this is going to be a once in a lifetime shot for them. And we want to be able to see as much as we can see. But I also realize that some people just need a day to be down. And so as long as we wake up at one hotel and we are coming back that night to the same hotel, if you just need a day to be able to hang out in the morning or whatever, go for a walk, and have your own downtime. So you could do that in Jerusalem and go enjoy. So, but we leave, we'll wake up at like 7 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. But we'll be on the road by 7:30 or 8 after breakfast. And we're going to be traveling during the day, and we'll be home by dinner every day. And then the night times are ours. And so some folks are going to go straight to bed. Some we're just going to sit out in the lobby and hang out and tell more stories. And then some of us, we have what we call spilkus, which means ants in their pants, and they need to get out. That's, and some of that is a little bit easier, like especially in Jerusalem. You can do some of that at the Dead Sea, but we go out and we go see the people and go see the city. So that's kind of a normal day in the life. But it's a hard thing, and I wish I could make it like more of a 3-week trip, and we can have lots of time. I've done that a couple times way back in the day. Other questions, other thoughts? Good questions. Kathleen, I see that hand.
Hi, guys.
Hey, good to see you.
So yeah, you too. So is there an option for, like, say you wanted to extend a couple of days beyond the trip ending? Is that an option, like when you're working with airfares and everything?
Yep.
That's my
Yep.
question.
So that would be something that we would work out with GTI specifically.
Okay.
There is a chance that I might do that with like Marilyn Jed, maybe he has FOMO, so he'll probably go everywhere. But yeah, like to maybe do like a FOMO. It means fear of missing out.
Oh,
This is the
hey, when
living.
you get to this age, you don't want to miss anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's not much left. But we might go over to Jordan and go spend a day in Petra. So yeah, but if you wanted to extend your time in the land, we can work that out with the travel agency.
Yeah, because my question is that I've done a GTI tour with them before, right? Did the whole class thing. I'm wondering, how much of a difference between 2015, and now. And so anyway, so yes, I would like to see Jordan. It would, you know what I mean? So,
Yep. If there was enough of you that said, I'd like to go to Jordan, I would talk, let us know, because it is something spinning in the back of my head. One of my good friends is my favorite tour guide in the world is in Jordan. And he's a guy that like when National Geographic comes through and brings all their photographers through the area, he's their tour guide, but he grew up in Petra. We stay in these Sun City domes. They're amazing. It's just a stark reality that it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I really like Petra, and there's so much, prophetically that is going to take place there. That's where the Jewish remnant is going to be during the last half of the tribulation period. It's a lot of stuff to talk about there.
It's also where Israel walked through as they were going through the wilderness. So it is, even though technically today it's called Jordan, it's still a very biblical land. And one of my favorite spots in all of Jordan is Mount Nebo, going up to the top, where you get to stand up at the top and you get to look down. This is where God showed Moses, this is the promised land. And guess what? You're not going to see it. And he buried him right there in the mountains. So pretty amazing. So if enough of you said, hey, we want to add this on, let me know and we could add that as an extension. One beautiful part about Jordan is it's not very expensive. It's a pretty quick and easy flight over there. To the airport in Amman is beautiful, and the hotel accommodations are great too. The food's great too. So, oh yeah, I see. There you go. Great. It's 6 o'clock. That's kind of what we had planned. Any last questions before we wrap it up? All right. Oh, Kathleen. It's okay.
How'd you know,
You're
Matt?
only allowed two.
Matt,
Your last
so, well, I got disconnected, right? So you might have covered this, so I apologize in advance. But would there be an opportunity to be baptized like in the Jordan at all? You know, is that okay? All right.
Yeah.
Just
we'll do
something
that.
I have not done, right? Two things I have not done that I'd like to do.
Yeah. There'll be
Okay.
an immersion or mikvah or baptism, and we'll do that in the lower Jordan, at the area really where Israel crossed over from Jordan. They cross over the Jordan River and then go into Jericho. But that's the spot that we'll go. But yes, that'll certainly be part of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, hey, let me just thank you all for being here. Feel free to follow up with any questions. And let me just pray. Actually, why don't you just pray for us? And any questions, feel free to email. You can get matt@thejewishroad.com or ron@thejewishroad.com. And happy to help you out with any further questions that come up. All right, but let's just pray.
Yeah. Father, we just give thanks for the opportunities that you set before us to be going and familiarizing ourselves with your land and what you have done, what you have promised. And we just ask that you would go before us and prepare the way for us, that, we would be able to just one piece at a time, put together the physical and the tactical and all of even the financial, things that, are necessary for a trip of this caliber. We know that we will meet you there and you will show us marvelous things. So just look forward to it. We look forward to being with these people and just ask for your blessing and your guidance and your leading in all of these things in the next days and weeks and months ahead. And we commit it to you in the name of Yeshua, our Mashiach, Jesus, our Messiah. Amen.
Man. Hey, thanks all. It's good to see faces. Good to see you. And I would love to